Well, here is the latest guitar project I'm working on. I'm going to turn these two guitars into one guitar. It's going to be a unique guitar that I haven't seen anywhere else in the world. This is a right-handed guitar, and this is a left-handed guitar. Well, here we are. We're still working on this reverse guitar, and we've come up with a pickup idea. This is the test bench for the pickup, where we've got the pickup wires joined onto two strings here, and we're going to use them to conduct the electricity all the way down to where you plug the guitar in, and the guitar jack is joined here. So we are able to make a pickup work by using the guitar strings as wiring. And this is only a test bench, so we can prove that the pickup works. We've got it plugged into an amplifier. So that proves the electricity circuit for the pickup will hopefully work on the reverse guitar. Well, we've just encountered a problem with the the pickup setup by using the strings as my wiring to complete the pickup circuit with the guitar jack plugged in down here. When I fret 2 strings and push them on the fret bar, it shorts out the pickup and there's no sound. One string doesn't cause it to go bad. But when I push 2 strings down, it shorts the pickup out. So that idea unfortunately won't work when I'm playing chords. We're going to have to come up with a new idea on how to make this pickup work. So we've come up with a solution that may work with the pickup problem. On a guitar neck, inside there is a metal rod that runs on a little bow in there, and it's connected through there with a screw, and it's anchored embedded in this bit of wood here. And the idea of the truss rod is so that when the guitar strings are on, the neck doesn't bend upwards and go out of shape, and the metal rod in the inside actually keeps the guitar neck straight under tension from the strings. So what I've done is I've drilled a hole in the end of the guitar neck, and it goes right up to the metal truss rod inside where it's drilled right up and touches there, and the other end is here of the truss rod. And what I was able to do was get a circuit. I can use the truss rod. As we can see, there's now a circuit. The truss rod can be used as a wire. So I'll have one wire for the pickup using the truss rod, and the other side of the pickup I will use as a guitar string. Now, one string doesn't short out the pickup, so it doesn't matter when I'm playing, I should still be able to get sound from the guitar with the hidden wires for the pickup. Well, I'm running into another little hurdle building this guitar. This is a normal size guitar, and I found out that by the time I try to mount this on the wrong end of the guitar, and I put a guitar head on this end of the guitar and fill all this in with a bit of fretboard, the guitar neck's going to look really long. It's going to not look like a proper guitar. It's going to look a bit out of proportion. So what I found is this is a kid's mini electric guitar. The difference is the fretboard is it's 70mm shorter than a normal guitar. As you can see there, I've lined up the nuts. That's where it starts, but down here you'll see that the fretboard on the kid's guitar is about 70mm shorter. But the neck is the same thickness and depth. It'll still work the same. So what I was going to do was use the fretboard off the little kid's guitar to make this whole guitar I'm making, so that by the time I've made it and I've filled it in with the extra frets and the big ends up here and the little ends down here, it won't look too far out of proportion. It'll probably be still 3 to 4 inches longer than a normal guitar neck, but not horribly noticeable compared to the first idea by using a full-size guitar. So we're going to get into dismantling this little kid's guitar, and we want to use this neck now to build the reverse guitar. Okay, we're going to dismantle the neck on this Mini Squier. The neck on this Mini Squier is about 60-70mm shorter than a normal guitar neck. It's called a 3/4 size kid's electric guitar, and I'm after the neck on it to put on my reverse guitar so the guitar looks in proportion with the rest of it. So So the idea is to just take off the strings, just release the tension, release the strings, and then we'll unbolt the neck. Now the neck is the same width and depth as a normal guitar neck, but just shorter. It's actually only 20 frets long. A normal guitar neck is 21, 22 frets. And this guitar it's still got the frets, but they're a little bit closer together than a normal guitar neck. Slightly closer. It's a bit harder to play for an adult, but it's still manageable. Now that tie up these strings. It ties up the strings. We'll go over here and we'll release the neck. Hopefully this, yep, neck. Take off the neck plate, and the neck wiggles its way out of there. I don't need any of the rest of the guitar body. And just going to loosen all of the tuning knobs. The tuning knobs all released. They're just screwed on. It's a little bit fiddly to get them off. And as you can see, there is a truss rod in these little guitars here. Long bit of metal runs through the neck. I need to drill a hole in here so I can meet up with the other end of the truss rod, so I'll be able to make my pickup work. I can use the truss rod as part of the wiring. So just release all the tuners, because I don't need them at the moment. All the tuners come off. Little string retainers. These keep the strings in place when you're playing the guitar. And there is the guitar neck off. That is a Fender Mini Strat neck compared to, as you can see, here's the other neck I was going to use, but it's a bit longer. But it's the same size neck otherwise. Width and depth is the same. So that neck will eventually find its way in there, I hope. And that will be the next step. Now what we have here is a pickup out of an electric guitar, and it looks like that. It's quite large and thick, has magnets along here and a very long coil of wire wrapped around it. That's what causes guitars to get loud. But what I've done is I've pulled the pickup apart, and it doesn't quite fit in the guitar here. It's with the guitar head under here, it sticks up too high and it hits the strings. So I've managed to cut the pickup, the cover in half, and made it a lot lower. So I've lowered it quite a bit, enough anyway, probably about 5 mil, just so it doesn't hit the strings. And I'm going to glue it together with a Tarzan grip. And to make it look like a pickup, we're probably going to place some aluminium inside, so it looks like the real thing, even though it won't work at all. Well, we've drilled a hole into the butt end of the guitar neck, and we've hit the truss rod. We've hit metal, so we're very lucky to line that up, so that's a good start. Well, here we are with a little mini Fender Squier neck, and I've drilled the hole in the end of the guitar butt. I got the multimeter out. I'm on the end of the truss rod here, and I got a little bit of metal here, a little drill bit in the end, measuring continuity. Yep, we have resistance there. Definitely got continuity. So that is a wire ready for the pickup. Okay, we're running another experiment here on the pickups. I've finally got 3 pickups, 3 bass pickups here. I've wired them in parallel to this guitar input jack, and there's a guitar lead plugged into an amplifier. I've got an electric guitar on the bench here, and it's not plugged in. But you can see that when I wave these pickups over the strings, there's volume. And they all work. And there's no hum. They're very quiet pickups, which is a good thing. A lot of guitars can cause a lot of hum when you plug them in. So that confirms that. So I'm feeling relaxed to move ahead and install these pickups into the guitar neck of the reverse guitar. Okay, we got the guitar neck. I've actually made a new piece of wood here, a bit bigger. I've put the earthing wire in for the pickup, ready to go along the truss rod. Up here, we're making the guitar head, and we've had to... The wood's actually a bit too thick for various reasons, so we have to thin the wood down with a router by about 5 mil. Well, a little bit more progress on the head of the guitar. I've cut this out to fit the bridge. And now I'm going to router out the head. The rest of it will be using a coping saw. The router won't get in because of this raised area here. So we'll be using a coping saw to cut through the rest of it. Yeah. Here we'll be using a different kind of saw. It's like a Tennant saw to cut the straight edge down here of this guitar. We'll just lob this bit here off. And we only have, there's a couple more cuts here. We really only have a cut through here. We'll run that way. And we're going to cut through here. We might as well cut this bit here off. That is slowly looking like a guitar head. Here it is, routed and partly polished and sanded. This needs a bit more of a clean up later. And now we'll put the tuning knobs in, and we're going to mount this end onto the big end. So I'm putting these tuners on, these locking tuners. A little screw on the back here. Bites into the string in this hole here. So I've put 3 on already. And next step is to mount the big end of the guitar on the other end, and then we string it up, put some strings on and see if the thing actually functions, which is before I'm going to put the pickups in there. I need to make sure that the guitar actually works as a guitar. I don't want to waste my time putting pickups in if it doesn't work. So there you go. There's the 6 tuners are in there. That's what they look like on the back. And I got the bridge. That's a guitar bridge. There's quite a lot going on there with little Allen keys, and these can adjust the height of the strings so that the strings are close to the fretboard. That bridge goes on there. And then hopefully we put some strings on tomorrow and they all line up like that. And I'll put the big end on this end. The illusion is getting closer for this reverse guitar. Next step on the guitar is to counter sync these pickups into this fretboard that I'm making. I've marked it out and we're going to router that down 11 mil. So now I have cut into the pickups. I've routed the pickups. They'll sink down level with the fretboard. I'm cutting off the sides now to make the guitar neck look like a guitar neck. So that'll take a while. I'll show you what it looks like once I've cut the sides off. Okay, I've had a little bit of success. I have routed into the guitar neck, and you can see these pickups now fall into place. The bridge sits on the end there, and I've cut the neck the same width, the same taper here. The tuners are on, and we're going to mount this eventually. But we're going to finish this off here. We're going to put a wooden cover over here. We've got the electrical cable running through the truss rod. Now we're going to solder these 3 pickups together. The hot side of each pickup will be joined with solder. And then once it's cooled down, we can bend this back put a bit of heat shrink over it. You can warm up the heat shrink and it grips tightly onto the wire. Becomes a nice solid connection there. Okay, now we're hooking up the ground terminal. All 3 ground wires of each pickup are joined together with an extra wire heading over to the bridge. So the pickups are now hooked up, and this wire will be joined under the bridge here to complete the circuit. Just another little bit of heat shrink over this wire. Wiring on the pickup done, using the bridge as an earth, and the other side of the pickup is on this screw in here, and the truss rod runs up here, about a metal rod, and there's the other end. It's going to make the other circuit. Well, here's the guitar. I've got it strung up. We've got the locking tuners here, specials tuners. The strings are only just long enough to reach. We've got an adjustable bridge here so the guitar can be tuned properly. The 3 pickups are solidly mounted. They're screwed down into the neck of the guitar. You can see they're at a good height, just below the strings. Moving down, I was able to screw the head of the guitar to this body of the guitar, and it went down nice and solid just with 3 screws. And at this end, this bridge here, as you can see, every second string doesn't actually go through the bridge. It actually joins on here. I've drilled a hole through here, so you've got a string here, and the next string is here, and then the very next one is here. Goes like that, and it's lined up pretty nice. The next thing is to test it and see if it plays well. Well, this is the wiring setup. I've installed the volume pot and the tone pot. So from the guitar jack, the power comes into the volume center pot. It goes out one side of the pot over to the switch, and from the switch it goes into the only pickup we have, which is this one. This goes up into the truss rod under here, as we can see. Little screw on the truss rod. That takes power here up to the 3 pickups which are in parallel. This is the other side of the pickup, the neutral side, which will be clamped under the bridge, and the strings will take the power back to this bridge, and this earth wire earthing all the pot chassis will go back down and out the guitar jack. So there's only one pickup. We also have a little cover plate there, which I'll screw down to hide the head of the guitar. Okay, the next thing is we're going to make a fretboard to cover the pickups, or have the pickup sticking through. I've made a stencil, marked out a stencil, which we can chop that out with a router on this bit of soft pine because we can stain it the right colour eventually. We're going to try and stain it this kind of rosewood colour. Yeah, I'm still working on the guitar, and I've spent many hours making this little fretboard. It's only out of pine wood. It was easy to work with, and I routed out these holes, and underneath I've had to router out here to fit over the bridge, and it fits in over the pickups. Fits in fairly flush. It's a little bit lower than the neck, but it will make it easier to strum the guitar later. And I've marked out with a pencil where I can extend the frets of the guitar. I'll be putting an extra, all these frets are about 11 mil apart all the way down here. And then we're going to try to stain this a similar colour to this, so the whole thing looks like a fretboard all the way along. And also working on the logo for the head, which is a stencil, and we'll be able to stencil the name on the head of the guitar as a sample of it. I think it goes that way. The reverse guitar, and that will be lacquered with a varnish. And these frets, as you can see, they're round on top like a mushroom, and then underneath, in the middle, I got this bit that pushes down into the fretboard of the guitar. It's got little teeth there. It's like a barb, like a fish hook. You push it down, you hit it down with a hammer, and it grips into the wood. And then you trim them off to length. That will be how we got that tomorrow. Here's another modification I did to the guitar. On the back of the guitar, where it was bolted down, I had to cut this little piece off here because it looks ugly. When the neck's bolted in there, this bit sticks out and looks a bit funny, and it made the guitar hard to play as well. So being able to cut that piece off gives the guitar a slightly better shape, more smooth, and a lot easier to play and fret the chords when required. Okay, next step is to cut the slots in the fretboard for the frets to be hammered down into. Now, a fret saw is normally what you use, but I've had trouble getting one, so I've made my own fret saw. I actually have a hacksaw, but the blade was too thick. The fret was sloppy when it was hammered in on the sample sheet. What I was able to do was grind the hacksaw blade thinner. On the bench grinder, I've thinned the blade down a bit, so now it's a nice fit for the fret. The slot won't be too wide. I've done a few test runs here, and I've managed to get the blade a nice thickness. So now we're going to slot these down about 2 millimeters and take our time. It's certainly not the easiest part of the job, but it'll just be a slow process of cutting a fret. Keeping the blade vertical. Just slowly taking my time and cutting all of these frets. So I've cut one of the frets, Now they're a bit long, so we just cut them off later. And you hammer them in with a soft bit of wood on top. That's secure. About to lift the guitar up, it doesn't fall out, so far so good. I've had to take part of the fret bar off, the part that digs into the wood. It's got to sit over the pickup flush with the fretboard. So I've had to slice into the underneath side. It's not getting any easier and the wood's getting very fragile to work with. So all the fret bars are on. We just got to trim them back. They're actually super glued into the slot as well. There's a recommendation from how you build these things. So the super glue is incredibly strong. It stuck my fingers together and yeah, gotta be careful with that stuff. Alright, today is the 18th of July 2020 and I have finished making the fretboard. It was a bit of a battle, I had a bit of trouble. One of the frets pulled off and nearly destroyed the whole wood thing, but I've managed to recover it. And I had to go inside and flatten these. They were sticking down a little bit low, so the fretboard wasn't quite going home. So I used a little tool called a Dremel, little tiny grinding stone tool. And I must state that I'm certainly not an expert in any way on building guitars. This is my first one. I have really. I've just followed a lot of YouTube videos on what you should do. But so I apologise for any of the wrong terminology, the wrong tools, the wrong everything, but it's just a lot of fun making this guitar. So I found the fretboard now fits in snug there, goes home. So the next thing I'm gonna probably stain it and yeah, just finish off all the painting and the lacquer and string it up. So we're staining the wood. This is just basic pine. And it's not going to be the best, but I didn't even think I'd get this far with the project. But the colour match is kind of not too bad. Righto, moving on. We're going to put this logo on the head of the guitar. I've called it reverse guitar. That's all I could think of. So that's what it seems to be. So just a simple stencil and just with a black texture. See if we can write it through that way. Well, I got the logo on. None of these jobs have been easy. The ink ran a little bit, the spacing's not quite right, but I don't think it's going to be a big problem. Okay, hopefully for the last time, fretboard cover goes on over the pickups. Now let's check our resistance on our pickup for the last time. Across the pickup, 2000 ohms. They're wired in parallel, so the original pickup resistance of each one was about 6.5. I think that now with that wiring configuration, it's now 2000 ohms. The guitar seems to be loud enough with that kind of pickup. I could have wired them in series, but I didn't try. Most common wiring seems to be parallel. So hopefully for the last time, this pickup cover is going on. I've only got 3 screws holding it. I'm hoping that's enough. That's on. Not the greatest colour match, but it's alright. It'll probably do the job. I think I'll put some a varnish on the rest of the wood just to seal it off. Well, here's the guitar. There's one coat of varnish on it. The fretboard didn't come up that great because I spilt a bit of glue, a bit of super glue on under the fret bars. I had a bit of a disaster. I won't go into that, but I've managed to repair the fretboard. So it's not too bad. It's not too obvious. It's a different wood. It's a different colour. Still quite effective. So I was going to put another coat of varnish on, and then I'll be looking at putting the strings on, and hopefully the pickups are still working and they're not damaged. There's the back of the guitar, there's me. We'll put the tuning knobs on hopefully tomorrow. There it is. The reverse guitar. Slowly but surely will it work. So I varnished the neck of the guitar, the head. There's 2 coats there, and I've sanded it back, not with sandpaper, but I've used like a steel wool, and it's come up a lot smoother and shinier. It feels great. So we can now put all these tuning pegs on. Like I said before, these tuning pegs are the locking style tuner, where the little screw winds up, bites onto the string and holds it for you. You don't have to wind the string around like in the old days, which is really difficult. Ended up sticking the wire into the end of your finger. And it was always a painful experience. And for all you viewers out there wondering why anyone would want to build a guitar like this, you're probably thinking I am crazy, but you've got to do crazy things in this world. Everybody has. And I looked online to see if I could find any other guitar like this, where it's all inverted. Everything is asked about and reversed, but I couldn't find any images of this style of guitar, so I thought I'll have a crack at it. And it did seem to be a lot easier than I thought building a guitar. I was worried about the intonation and getting all the necks straight and having the strings level and the fretboard lining up with the bridge and all that sort of stuff. But once I got into it, it didn't seem to be that difficult. I think I'll have to just loosen these, just so I can get the other side on. That's better. So hopefully this is the last time I have to put these tuners on, because it's a lot. I've put them on and off a few times now, because I had to test that everything lined up and worked. The pickups do work. I have had a test run on them. But the real tester will be when we plug it fully into the distortion pedals and get it tuned up. But these mini Strat necks are well known for being difficult to tune, because they're a short neck. They tend to go out of tune very easily when you fret notes, and very hard to keep in tune, especially with the thin strings. So I've decided to use some heavier gauge strings. These Mini Squier necks come standard with 9 to 42, and I will be running 10 to 46. I haven't tried that gauge on this guitar yet, Although the 9 to 42s, it did feel fine. I didn't have any tuning issues. The intonation seemed to be fine as well. I'll explain the intonation in a minute, what I did with that. So I'll just tighten up little screws here. Okay, that's all done. So originally with the bridge, you might have seen I had a bridge mounted there earlier, so I could intonate the neck properly. So once I did the intonation, I checked the adjustment on these bridge saddles. I was able to measure it, the angle, and replace this whole bridge with a fixed bridge like you'd probably find on an acoustic guitar, which is just, this is just the metal off an old bridge, which is the same bridge as this, and it has holes running through it there. I was able to do just discard the saddles and run the strings through these holes. As you can see, it's the same sort of bridge. Try and get the light on the camera, it's not easy, it's not a lot of light here. So hopefully the intonation is fine. And down this end, the bridge is here, but it's not for adjusting. It's purely just for the looks. The strings come from here and they run down to this bridge, but they have no effect on the tuning characteristic and intonation of the guitar. So I'll put the bass string first, even though it's probably wrong. It's the first one I pulled out of the box. Yep. We're very lucky here because the string is only just long enough here to reach the tuner with some wound stuff on it. Just makes it. Lift that up. I'll put one of the 10s on, the first string. It's going to reach. Nip up. Nip the locking nut up on that. I'll put the next one on, number 2, the B. goes in there. On. There's the A. Oh, it's not quite right. And hold over the top of the bridge there. I didn't find it much difference between the intonation whether you're a little bit out. It didn't seem to make a lot of difference to the way the guitar was fretted, even up on the 12th fret. As long as the intonation's in a pretty close, which is, you measure from the, I can't remember which way the bridge is on this guitar anyway, but the 12th fret is halfway, and then from whatever distance that is, you measure exactly out the same distance, and you put your bridge out at the same distance. So from there to there is the same as from there to the nut. That's what it is. As long as you got that about right, and a slight angle, the bass strings, you set it back a little bit longer. That's why you can see it's on a bit of an angle. The bridge is on a slight angle because the bass strings require slightly more length because of a thicker string. That's what they do on acoustic guitars, but I've just made it straight across. I haven't staggered it, and it appears to play fine. As long as you've tuned it correctly, it'll play fine. And it looks better. I didn't want to have another bridge there. It doesn't look as effective to have two bridges on the guitar. So one bridge and one nut looks more effective. I think I actually put that one on the wrong spot. Such a confusing guitar. You never know which way's up or down on this guitar. You never know which way to pick it up when you hold it. From the bottom. Just thread it through this floating bridge. I think I got it. Yep. I think that's where that one goes. I've had to drill extra holes in the into this bridge here to keep the wires close together, the strings close together, so it looks effective once again. I couldn't have them fanning out to the width of a normal bridge. It wouldn't have looked quite right. So I had to drill some holes in the end of that bridge, and it I think that's right now. And then this string here, this one here, somehow goes through this little tiny hole I drilled. Like that. So this is just a novelty guitar. It still works good, but it's more of a novelty guitar to have a bit of fun with. And it was very hard to find the strings the right length. A lot of string manufacturers don't even give you enough length to fit them. So there we go. As you can see, that's how I fit the strings. 3 of them are drilled through here, and the other 3 go through the normal spot on the bridge. But there's no tremolo. I've just locked this bridge down hard. We don't want any extra movement in the guitar, considering all the strength is coming from this little connection here. That's the strongest part that we need to keep the neck straight. So now we'll go ahead and tune it up. So we'll tune it up. It's getting pretty close. So these strings are new, so they're going to take quite a few days to stretch in. I'll have to retune it over several days before I can really have a good play of it. But they are 10 to 46. That's a rough tune. Yeah, and just recapping that these pickups don't work. They're disconnected. The volume does work, and the tones, they are connected. This bridge has no effect on the intonation. The intonation was preset, and I've put on a bridge, a nut here, or whatever you want to call it, a bridge. It's like 2 nuts really. And that should be in tune. And that's about it. The little switch here does work. The pickups are embedded here. And like I said, the wiring, the pickup wiring comes from the input jack. The active wire, or the hot, runs up the truss rod to the pickup, through the pickups. And the ground wire runs to the bridge. And these wires basically take the ground back down to the output jack. And I don't think I get any hum. I've tried a little bit of that. The hum's not too bad. It's like a normal single coil where they hum a bit, and then you grab the strings and it stops humming a bit. And yeah, so there's a pickup position. 1 click back is the pickup with tone controls. And middle position is off. The pickup actually turns off, and it's actually, the guitar goes dead quiet. A little bit of buzz on that string. I think the little nut here, it's just a little bit low. It's not really up this end, it's this end that's just a little low for that string, not sure why, but I can fix that. So the next thing now is just about to go and test it. I've put on a strap for the nut to hook on the guitar strap here, and next thing we'll go and try it and see how she sounds. Here's the two guitars side by side. One's a normal, Fender Squier Strat, and the one I made, the reverse guitars, it's a little bit longer. It's just the way it is. Otherwise, that's why I needed the extra long strings. There's no other way to build the guitar. It just had to be longer than a normal neck, but using a mini Strat neck at least disguises it a little bit. Almost looks like a bass guitar. But you can see the way it's strung up there close together through the nut. The hidden pickups. And the head of the guitar. That's what the side of the guitar looks like. And the back of the guitar. Well, here is the final product. The reverse guitar is complete with strap and in working condition. The strap actually has underneath a little hook which you hook onto your belt loop on your trousers, which keeps the guitar in a comfortable position to play. And the other end just hooks on here. Now the guitar's finished, I just want to highlight one of the main things that made this guitar possible to build, and it was the most important governing factor. The guitar strings, as you can see, they're only just make up into the tuning post here. That's the full length of the guitar string that come in the packets, and they are the longest strings I could find anywhere in the guitar shops. So I was lucky that the project was actually able to be completed. If these strings were any shorter, I would have had to change the design of the head here, which it would have been a different look. It probably wouldn't look like a guitar. It would have been like a more of a cut off flat, and these three posts may have had to run down here, and it wouldn't have given the unique guitar feature that everyone looks at when they see them. And that also was part of the reason why I had to use the Fender Squier mini neck, because it was shorter. That I was able to make this guitar possible. And as you can see, from here to there is very long as well. So the thing that was most important was the length of the guitar string, which I had to measure and make sure that when I started building it, it wasn't going to be too long. Otherwise the guitar would have been not possible to build. So these are D'Addario's 10 to 42. These are the strings that were the longest strings I could find in the guitar shops. All the other strings were shorter, the Ernie Balls, cheaper no-name brands and that. So That's why the guitar has the shorter neck. And down here, as I mentioned earlier there, I've drilled into the bridge to keep the spacing nice on the strings, so the illusion continues from a distance that I'm playing the guitar in reverse. There's a little bit of fall on the down here. The strings fall down a little bit just to keep a bit of tension on the bridge for tone. Also down here, this guitar body, there's a little bit of fall on the guitar body as well. It's not flat with a string. There's a little bit of fall here as well, which keeps the strings on this nut. And like I said, the pickups don't work, but the tones do. They look like they work. There's a piece of flat aluminium glued under this narrow pickup on each pickup here. This pickup's original. Okay, I'm going to do a final summary on the reverse guitar. Firstly, the first thing about it is the playability of it. It's a little bit harder to play than the normal guitar. It's heavier, but mainly it's because the heavy end is at the wrong end, so it tends to try to fall down on you. So I have to have the strap coming from here right back to here on a hook. And you've got to sort of stand a little bit, lean over a little bit and sort of twist it a little bit different so the guitar's comfortable to play. So that's one thing. The other thing is playing the guitar with the strings so close to the fretboard with a plectrum, it's hard to play any lead breaks properly because you can't dig down and get some depth into the strings there. So it's a bit harder to play lead, but it's good for rhythm. It feels okay to play rhythm guitar. I suppose tone-wise, the pickups do sound a little bit too much attack. It's like a bridge pickup, which is what it is. So it does sound like I'm playing lead break all the time, even when I'm playing chords. Also, the tuning it is a little bit harder with the shorter neck, the little mini Squier neck. It's harder to tune, so the guitar is a little bit harder to stay in tune, but not too bad with the thicker strings on. It is it's a lot better than the light 9 to 42s. They were just too thin, and the guitar was going out of tune. The tone has a decent effect on the guitar. You can get a warmer sound out of it when required, which is good. Probably not a lot else to report on the guitar. It's probably, you have to be a bit more careful. This section here is the most fragile part of the guitar. You could drop it and that would probably snap off first if anything went wrong. Probably the intonation's pretty good. I've sort of been happy with that. Seems to work okay. Other than that, you know, it's still comfortable. It's still a fun guitar to play. You might do one song with it, mainly strumming. It does like distortion, doesn't like the clean sound as much. It's more of a distorted rhythm guitar. Yeah, so overall, a lot of fun building the guitar. And we'll enjoy it at the next gig. I'll pull it out for a particular song and surprise the crowd. Well, I was able to find a case for the guitar. It had to be a bass guitar case. Normal guitar cases are too short. So in here, because of the thick neck, I did have to notch out some of the guitar case there. But otherwise, fits real nice. And here's the last look at the reverse guitar. Probably won't get played a lot. Probably have to loosen off the strings so we don't bend the neck because it's not really made that strong. You can see the locking tuners. the guitar strap with a hook. Hook it onto your belt loop on your pants. Left-handed guitar body. It's a left-handed guitar body on a Mini Squier neck with a homemade headstock. It's quite fun to play.